Now, this is case number 342 on the calendar in the matter of Huff versus Veloff.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Huff, the defendant is your soon-to-be ex-son-in-law. I assume this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that he owes you money for bail.
Yes, ma'am.
And that he agreed to pay you back once you had bailed him out, and he has declined to do so. Mr. Veloff says you made no agreement with him with regard to the bail money. You made an agreement with his wife. So if you want the bail money paid, get it from your daughter. That's your defense?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Veloff, how long have you been married?
13 years, 14 years?
13 or 14 years?
13.
You have children?
Yes, 2.
How many?
2.
When were you arrested, sir?
It was filed on July 4th, but I actually turned myself in on that Sunday, which would have been, I think, the 6th, 7th? Of July, I'm sorry.
7/7 of 06?
Yes.
Is this the first time you had been arrested, sir?
Yes.
And this was for domestic violence?
Yes.
And the domestic violence alleged that you either assaulted or threatened or harassed your wife?
Right.
Were you in or out of the house on the 7th of July?
In the house.
No. Okay. Mrs. Veloff, when did you complain about your husband's conduct to the police?
The incident of 4th of July.
Tell me about the incident.
We have been having marital problems for quite a while, and a recurring situation came up again that he was not working and taking care of his responsibilities. It escalated into a yelling argument that turned physical. Shortly after, well, the argument went on for quite a while. He was restraining me. I was not allowed. I was undressed coming out of the shower. He wouldn't allow me to get dressed. He wouldn't allow me to leave the master bedroom. Finally, when I did get out of the bedroom, I made it down to the lowest floor of the house, got a phone, and dialed 911. While I was on the phone with the dispatcher, he left the property. While he was gone, they dispatched 2 sheriff's vehicles to the house. They took my statement, took photos.
Do you have a copy of the statement, please? Do you have a copy of that police report?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay. They took photographs of what?
They took photographs of the marks on my body and the damage to the home.
What kind of marks did you have on your body?
My arms were bruised where he had grabbed me and forcibly threw me on the bed. My neck was irritated and red.
Your Honor, I do have a copy of the charges.
I'd like to see them. Where were your children when all this was going on?
There was a 4th of July community picnic that my daughter was at, and my son was outside playing basketball with a friend of his. I believe, well, he was in the driveway. I think they were playing basketball.
How old are your children?
14 and 12.
What's the status of this protective order?
The restraining order?
Yeah, what's the status of the case?
The case was dismissed.
When was the case dismissed?
It went to trial while my mother and I were in Italy for 2 weeks. It was dismissed because I did not show to testify.
Why didn't you appear to testify?
I was in Italy.
Why did you go to Italy during the trial?
It was already pre-planned, the trip. All of the subpoenas for me to appear were in my mail when I got back.
Your Honor, this was a 2-week Mediterranean cruise. We had planned 7 months prior to take all the kids and grandkids, everybody.
Got it. But, Ms. Veloff, after he was arrested, because he turned himself in, according to your mother's complaint, he called you and asked you to bail him out, right?
Yes.
How much was your bail?
$2,000.
And why did you think your wife would bail you out when she was the one who filed the complaint?
Well, I called her because it started getting really rough in the jail, and I've never experienced anything like that. And I called her.
How rough was it?
They found knives, shanks.
So you wanted out of there?
Yeah, and it was Wednesday night. The other inmates were starting to get their commissary or whatever they buy for the week, and a lot of it was like cold medicine, and they were chopping it up and snorting it, and I could see attitudes change, and it started getting really scary.
So you were frightened?
Yes.
So you called your wife?
Yes, I did.
And what did you say to her?
I asked her to call my dad to see if he would bail me out.
Why didn't you call your dad?
Why didn't I call my dad?
That's exactly what I said. Why didn't you call your dad? Why are you calling the alleged victim instead of calling your father directly? Don't you speak to him?
Yes, I do.
So then why didn't you call your father yourself?
The phone calls I was able to make were very limited.
Well, I understand they're very limited. I've been in the justice system a very long time. There's no reason that you're going to be able to give me that I'm going to be satisfied with, sir, as to why you didn't call your father yourself.
I don't know.
Ma'am?
Maybe your wife is going to tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you call his father?
First of all, he called the house and spoke to our son, who then called me. So by the time I got the phone call, our son was frantic with worry, thinking that his father was in mortal jeopardy.
Okay.
And then I did go and call his father, and his father said no.
That's why you didn't call him.
No, that's not true. He said
Otherwise,
no-
sir,
he said no.
sir, you know, if something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. How old is your son?
14.
Before I would involve my 14-year-old son in the fact that I was incarcerated and I was frightened for my life, I would call my father. If I had a decent relationship with my father and if I felt that my father would want to protect me, I certainly wouldn't involve my teenage child. That's not being a protective parent.
I did not know he was going to answer the phone.
What kind
You've
of
proceeded to-
Just a second. What kind of dumb answer is that?
I mean,
What kind of a dumb answer? So because he answered the phone, you unloaded on him?
I didn't unload.
Well, of course you did. Okay. So now you're between a rock and a hard place. You got your 14-year-old child saying you got to do something to get dad out of jail. You got his father who says, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not putting up any money for him. You don't have any money, so you call your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you say, you got to help me out here. You got to help me out. And she goes down and she puts up the bond. That's so far what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you got out of jail, Mr. Veloff, who was there?
Who was there? My kids, my wife, and my mother-in-law.
And what did you say to your mother-in-law?
Thank you.
What else did you say to her? What else did he say?
He was in tears, and he hugged me, and he thanked me, and I told him two things. One, he had to get his act together, and two, because he didn't have a job, he had to pay me back, and he owned 2 cars, which he'd already told Tracy he would do. I expected him to sell one of the 2 cars.
To pay you back.
To pay me back
Just
for my
a sec,
credit card.
just a-
I'm sorry.
And did he pay you back?
No, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If she didn't have grandchildren, that's probably what she would have said to her daughter. Let him stay there. Because as far as she was concerned, you could have rotted in hell.
And later today,
Doesn't like the camera.
Probably not. Felix.
Feisty little thing.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dora Huff claims a strange son-in-law, Paul Veloff, owes for bail money she posted on his behalf.
Why should your mother-in-law pay your bail?
I didn't ask her to.
No, you didn't ask her to. That's absolutely right, Mr. Veloff. You did not ask her to. But you promised to pay her back. But you promised to pay her back. You didn't ask her to, and absolutely, if you hadn't said to her, I'm going to pay you back, that unfortunately for Miss Huff, there would have been no recourse. The truth of the matter is, at the time that she put up the bail for her daughter and her grandchildren, because as far as she was concerned, you could have rotted in hell. I'm sure. If she didn't have grandchildren, that's probably what she would have said to her daughter. Let him stay there. But she has grandchildren, and you can't do that when you have teenage grandchildren. You can't say, listen, you're going to let your father rot in jail, so he's going to call here and he's going to complain that somebody's going to shank him. Mr. Veloff, as you see, sir, I have zero sympathy for your position morally, and I have zero sympathy for your position legally. If you had not told your mother-in-law that you would pay her back.
I promised to get my act together and get a job.
Just a second. Did you get your act together?
Yes.
Did you get a job?
Yes.
Good. Now you have money to pay her back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,020. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We went to marriage counseling, and everything was going wonderful.
It's over.
Don't know what happened after that.
The marriage is over.
Part, go our own ways, and, hopefully, no hard feelings.
I will never be hit again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeCarlos versus Yaffe, step forward, please.
23-year-old Anthony DeCarlos is suing vet technician Sharon Yaffe for failing to return his miniature pinscher, Phoenix.
Mr. DeCarlos, you are suing Miss Jaffe because you claim that because of her actions, your pet was neutered.
Yes, ma'am.
Without your permission. And she caused you a great deal of stress when she refused to divulge the name of the people who she had given the dog to when your dog turned up astray and missing. What I gather from your complaint is you were not at home. The puppy was at home with friends of yours or roommates.
Roommates.
And they negligently allowed the puppy to escape the house.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
old was the puppy at the time?
8 months.
And how many people were supposed to be watching him?
Just one of my roommates was at home at the time.
And how did he let the dog out?
He was going to India for a trip, and he was putting up a mailbox. We have 2 doors, and my dog got out because he left the top door open and the bottom door, and he got out while he was doing that.
So he was negligent?
Yes.
On what date did he run away from your house?
The 25th of June.
And how long had you had the puppy at the time?
I'd had him for probably like 4 months.
Where did you get him from?
A breeder.
And how much did you pay for him?
Like $300.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Mr. DeCarlos?
Sorry. Yes.
Paid $300. Did you get papers for him?
Yes, ma'am. I
I'd
have
like to
papers.
see that. He's a miniature pincher.
Yes.
I had one of those when I was a child. Okay, so June 25th, the puppy escapes. What did you do to find him?
Well, when I found out, I was at the library when this happened. I came home and found that my dog was gone. And so I was like, oh my God, what happened? So I went, like, immediately put up flyers to find my dog around my block and everything like that. And my roommate did help me, you know, so he did feel bad, but I can't blame him, you know. So we
Listen, look, stop talking so fast. Oh. Doesn't like the camera.
Probably not.
That's okay.
Phoenix.
Feisty little thing. Anyway, so you put up flyers. What else did you do?
I would put up flyers.
What else did you do?
I called.
Who did you call?
Someone that found my dog responded to the flyers, and they contacted me and let me know where they had taken my dog to.
Okay, so you yourself did not call the animal rescue, animal control.
Oh, I called. I visited numerous animal shelters around where I live.
Okay.
And I called, like, the animal patrol, like, where I live, because I would figure, like, he'd be around in my area. But that wasn't the case at all.
So somebody saw the flyer with the dog's picture and called you.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date was that?
I'm not sure of the day exactly.
Well, it becomes important in this scenario.
Okay. It was probably like 2 to 3 weeks later, after the 25th.
3 weeks later?
Yes.
So we're now mid-July.
Yes.
Okay. And the person who called you, just for the purpose of this, said that your dog was injured?
Right. They had told me that he had been clipped by a car, and he was fine. Like, he was, by the time they took him to the animal hospital, like, he was walking and he was fine. And they told me that they had admitted him and they gave him to a nurse, and she took him home. And then they gave me the number of the place, so I called, and she definitely agreed. She said I took him home and I cared for him or whatever. And then she gave him to Sharon Yaffe.
Okay.
Sad.
He's really not happy. Why don't you take him out? Okay?
No, sir. Okay.
Got a heart of a lion, that little guy. So the person at the animal shelter, they took care of your pet who had been injured.
Yes, ma'am.
And somebody was wonderful enough to take him home, nurse him back to health, and then turned him over to the defendant.
Yes.
Miss Yaffe, you work for the shelter?
I work for a shelter.
And who was it that gave you the puppy?
A co-worker of mine who was working at the animal hospital when the animal was delivered.
On what date did you take custody of him?
July 3rd, which would have been a Monday morning.
Okay, go ahead.
The prior weekend, the co-worker at my weekend job, which is an emergency animal hospital, advised she had been recuperating a dog at home for 10 to 14 days, wanted to know if I would be able to find it a home. And I told her, if it's something small with a nice disposition, nothing that bites, I can always find something small a home. I did have a friend of mine who has a geriatric miniature pinscher, and that would have been my first outlet for the dog. I picked the dog up that morning from the animal hospital, which would have been Monday morning. The animal had already been neutered.
The animal had been neutered at the animal hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
So before you took custody of the animal, it was neutered?
Correct.
Go ahead.
I picked the dog up. I called my friend and let him know what I had. He contacted his wife. He has a daughter at home who's like 10 years old. And they said they would try the dog out. So the gentleman came and picked the animal up from me that same day.
Okay. When did Mr. DeCarlos contact you?
Friday, which would have been July 7th, I believe.
And he described the dog?
Yes.
And when did he get the dog back?
I'm not sure of the exact day.
When did you get the dog back, sir?
I'm not sure of the exact day either.
It was in July.
Yeah, I had to get a lawyer to actually get my dog back from her. I even offered, when I spoke with her, I was like, I will pay, these people, I'll buy them a new dog. I just want my dog back. That's all that I really cared about. And she was like, no, I'm not gonna, you know, I don't want to make these people unhappy and this, that, and the other. But I'm like, it's my dog. I came forward. You know, it's my dog. And on top of everything, Your Honor, she lied. She was lying to me about everything.
I never lied.
Your Honor, she told me that the dog was in the facility when it was not. And I have documentation from her job right here that says that they did an investigation on her and they found her guilty of everything.
Well, let me
That's
see
not
what
correct.
you have. Ms. Yaffe, you did not make the dog available to the plaintiff when he called you. You want to tell me why?
The animal had been in the home already
4 days.
4 days.
4
And
days.
I was really apprehensive about contacting the people and letting them know that an owner had come forward for the animal. They've got a 10-year-old daughter. I knew the dog was in a good home, a good, responsible home.
Okay. You made a misjudgment.
In hindsight, yes.
You made a misjudgment. Okay. I see Mr. Takala said what this says is that they conducted an investigation to determine whether or not Ms. Yaffe's actions were within departmental guidelines of the animal control. And it says that the actions of the employees were not within our best policy nor our best practice of the police department and animal control facility, and your complaint has been sustained. Okay. So you should have gotten your dog back.
Yes.
So?
I did get my dog back. Well, the reason why I'm suing is because my dog was neutered.
That's not her problem. That's your roommate's problem. That's not her problem. Nobody did anything to intentionally inflict injury on your puppy. Nobody. What happens is when an animal, I assume that something must have happened to the puppy's tags and or chip, which you should have had on the puppy so that the puppy could have been
Yes, ma'am.
easily identifiable.
Yes, ma'am.
And that wasn't there. Am I right, Mr. DeCarlos?
Yes, ma'am, you're right.
Okay, so if you had had a chip inserted in the puppy, which everybody recommends now,
Yes.
or you had a collar with your telephone number and way to contact you, we wouldn't be here today. So that's your fault. It's not her fault that your dog was neutered. She didn't neuter the dog.
Right, but she knew it was taking place, like she knew about it.
So what? Not every grievance, Mr. DeCarlos, is a lawsuit. Now, I agree with you that the defendant, and she acknowledges in hindsight, she should have turned the dog back over to you. It was a mistake on her part. She can't say, well, they've come attached to the dog in 4 days and I don't feel comfortable about calling, and say you have to return the dog to its rightful owner. But she's not responsible for the fact that your dog was neutered.
So should I, sue, the animal hospital that they have no documentation, or?
Absolutely not. You shouldn't sue anybody. You should take your dog home and teach him not to growl. You got your dog back in one piece, and the fact that he's neutered, what difference does it make?
Well, I was planning on breeding him.
Plan something else. Your own negligence in failing to have proper identification on the dog caused the dog to go into a shelter without any known information. That's your negligence, so go sue yourself. Your case against the defendant is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 251 on the calendar in the matter of Bosworth versus Bosworth. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Bosworth, this is your former husband.
Yes, ma'am.
You have 2 children together, and it is your claim that he is responsible for having you falsely arrested after an incident that involved one of your children who was 18.
Yes.
Mr. Bosworth says that you caused the whole incident yourself.
Correct.
Now, you were married when?
In 1988.
And when were you divorced?
97, ma'am.
Who had primary physical custody of the children in 1997?
I did.
And how often did their father spend time with them?
Not that often, ma'am.
How often, Mr. Bosworth, did you visit with your children starting in 1997?
It varied. It usually was once a week.
Usually. Sometimes you skipped a week?
Sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on my work schedule.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I'm a police officer right now,
How long have you been a police officer?
since 1999.
And did you have a reasonable relationship with your former wife?
No, my relationship with my former wife has been hostile and unreasonable.
Okay. Now, I tried to piece together from your complaint and from your answer what transpired on, what date this happened?
July 24th of 05.
And I gather that you had an argument with your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
The argument was about,
Her not cleaning her room.
had that been an ongoing problem?
Yes, all weekend I had asked her to clean her room, Friday and Saturday. Sunday, her room was still a mess. She constantly was on the telephone. And at that point, I removed the cell phone. I told her until she was to clean the room, that cell phone was not going to be given back to her.
Now, this is the problem. Mr. Bosworth,
Yes,
your former wife takes the telephone away from her daughter who has not followed a house direction. So far, correct?
Correct.
And as far as I'm concerned, so far her prerogative. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would.
So your daughter calls you on the phone and says to you, she took my phone away.
No.
Well, tell me what happened, sir, that brought you over to the house that day.
I originally got the phone from my daughter.
I don't care. Don't give me any stories about giving the phone to a teenage daughter. How did you come over to the house that day, Mr. Bosworth?
I had gotten tired of not being able to contact my daughter via the cell phone. Therefore, I went to the house that day. On July 24th of 05.
July 24th, you tried to contact your daughter.
Yes.
And you couldn't.
Correct.
Go ahead.
So the phone was in my name. I purchased the phone for her use. Therefore, I wanted the phone back because if my daughter's not going to be able to use it...
Mr. Bosworth, you're skipping a step, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And don't skip a step with me.
What step would you like me to begin at, Judge?
I want to know when you found out that your former wife had taken the phone away from your daughter.
I had called that day, and my daughter had told me...
That's right.
...that she had taken the phone again.
So, you went over there because you wanted your phone back.
Correct.
Wrong! 125% wrong. Your daughter complained to you that her mother took the phone, and you went over there and stuck your nose in where it didn't belong. Because while your daughter is living under her mother's roof, her mother owns the air she breathes.
Okay.
And if you gave your daughter a phone to use, you don't get in between that sort of discipline between her and her daughter. You interfered with discipline for the person who has primary physical custody of the two children. She ignored her mother's direction for 3 days, and her mother said, listen, I'm tired of seeing you sitting on the phone for 3 days while I asked you to clean up the room that's in my house that I pay for. So give me the phone. You come and say, it's not your phone. You give me the phone.
Correct.
That was the wrong thing to do, sir. Now, did you call the police, sir?
When I went to retrieve the phone, my ex-wife slammed the door in my face and refused
because
to
you came in and said, what did you say, Mr. Bosworth?
I asked my ex-wife...
What did you say? Don't ask me.
If she would give me the phone back.
What did he say, Miss Bosworth? That's not what you said.
Where the F is my phone?
That sounds right, Mr. Bosworth.
That
sounds right, Mr. Bosworth, because how far do you live?
About 5-10 minutes from her house.
And what were you doing when you called your daughter and said, I can't get in touch with you?
I was just hanging around the house, I believe.
And what time of the day or evening was it?
Early evening, sometime
And your
after
family
4.
was home?
I believe so.
And you have a wife?
Yes.
You have children?
Not with my current wife, no.
She has children?
Yes.
That live with you?
Yes, at the time.
Good. So now you have a wife and children, and you get up and you leave them to go over and retrieve your cell phone. So my sense of that, sir, is that you were annoyed, especially since you indicated to me briefly a moment ago that it's not the first time she's taken away the phone, right?
Correct.
So you were really annoyed this time. And when you got there, you want me to believe, Mr. Bosworth, that you said to your former wife, may I please have my phone back? That's what you want me to believe you said?
Your Honor, I am not a loud person. I'm not a violent person.
I don't say you're loud or violent, sir. I'm asking you if you want me to believe that you knocked at the door and said, I'd like my phone back.
I'm not hostile to the point where I will curse at her in her own home. I am very respectful of her in her own home as well as my children in her own home.
You know, sir, I know you've been a police officer for almost 10 years. I've been sitting here for almost 30. Some things make sense and some things don't make sense. What doesn't make sense is why somebody would get in their car in the evening, leave their family, and go over to their former wife's home where there had been a dispute with an adult child, because she's 18 years old, and there was no indication that her mother had beat her, had tied her to a radiator, had stripped her down and throttled her with a belt. She took away her cell phone because she was being disrespectful. You left your family, you went over there, and you caused a problem.
No, I did not.
Oh, yes, you did. Did you call the police?
Before the problem...
Did you call the police?
Yes, I did.
Because you didn't get your cell phone?
Because I didn't want a problem with my ex-wife.
Slam the door.
Mr. Bosworth, you're not following me, sir. If you think that you're right, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. And I'm usually very, very respectful of police officers because I think that they do a very tough job. You abused your position as a police officer by calling the police to go over there and retrieve a cell phone.
At that time.
They have better things to do than to deal with your ego. They have people to protect. And if you wanted your cell phone back, all you have to do is you call and you say to the cell phone company, I'm discontinuing the service on this cell phone. That's it. And you tell your daughter, listen, you want to live with your mother? You got to live with her rules. I'm not interfering with that. You chose to interfere with it, and you made a big to-do over nothing. And if you feel as if you're being dressed down today, you are. You are being dressed down because you did the wrong thing. That doesn't mean that you have a case, Miss Bosworth. That means that he behaved badly.
Yes.
So far.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I said, I don't have his phone. This officer said, you're lying. At this point, he came around, handcuffed me so quickly, I couldn't even tell you how he put the cuffs on me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Maria Bosworth claims ex-husband, police officer Anthony Bosworth Sr., had her falsely arrested for child abuse. Anthony says Maria got herself arrested.
What kind of community do you live in? How big a town?
About 150,000 citizens.
And how many police officers for 150,000 citizens?
350 to 400. I might add that at the time of the incident, I was not a police officer at that time. I'd gotten laid off in 2003 and reinstated at the beginning of this year.
So you were a police officer. So these were people that you knew?
Not personally.
These were people that you knew and that knew that you were a police officer.
Yes.
Otherwise, you know what they would have said to you if they called up and said, I'm going to my ex-wife's house to get my cell phone back? They would have said to you, don't get us involved with this, Mr. Bosworth. You want your cell phone back, go to civil court. But because they were covering for you, they reported and took people away from important business to deal with your ego. Outrageous. Okay, so what happened when the police got there?
He had called me on the phone and was rude and belligerent, and I hung up the phone. That's why he got to my house so quickly, because he was upset that I hung up because I was not going to tolerate him being disrespectful on the phone. When he got to my door, he rang the bell excessively, I would say 20 to 30 times. And when I got to the door, I slammed the door. I told him, you don't know what's going on, you need not to meddle. He never asked me what had occurred for me to remove the cell phone from my daughter. So at that point, I went back to baking as I was. I realized I needed some additional spices. I left, and Mr. Bosworth was outside, and he said, where are you going? The police are on their way. I looked at him, and I said, you entertain them. I feel that I didn't do nothing wrong for the police to be at my home.
Absolutely right.
I got in my van, and I proceeded to back up. The officer came, and he acknowledged Mr. Bosworth. He said, hello, Boz. And my ex-husband said, she's about to pull out. The officer said, no, she's not. Pull that van forward. At that point, I complied. He put his cruiser behind my van. The officer got out, went to Mr. Bosworth, shook his hand. They gave a hug, and they started talking.
Put your hand down, sir.
I went right up to my daughter, Your Honor. She was outside as well. And I pulled my hand on her arm, and I said, come here. Having Daddy and the police here doesn't change the rules in there. Mr. Bosworth, that I heard him tell Officer, get her away from her. My daughter at this point was crying uncontrollably. This girl, all she wanted was her cell phone, and his intention was to get it out of my hand and put it in her hand, undermine my authority. This is why my kids don't respect me.
Got it. At what point were you arrested?
I would say a half hour later. At this point, my daughter was crying. The officer kept on grabbing me, and I have photos, Your Honor, of what he did to my arm, his buddy. This is not from the shacks. This is actually from him holding me. And I kept on telling the officer, please let go, you're hurting me. And he kept on grabbing. I said, you're hurting me, let go, what's your problem? He got in my face and he said, get your effing in the house or I'm going to find many reasons to arrest you. So at this point, I said, let go, you're hurting me. And he kept on squeezing tighter. So I did go in the home. My daughter was pressed on time. She left crying uncontrollably with her boyfriend. Mr. Bosworth and this officer stayed in front of my house for a good 15 minutes. And I couldn't figure out why are they still there. And I went inside of the garage, Your Honor, to listen. And I heard Mr. Bosworth tell him how of a B I am of an ex-wife, and that mentally and physically I abused my children.
I want to know at what point you were arrested.
At this point, I decided to go in my backyard. I thought the matter was over. They were just talking. I was hoping to God that they just leave. And I was in the backyard. This officer opened my gate, and it's a 6-foot tall gate. And he came and he said, where's his phone? I said, I don't have his phone. This officer said, you're lying. At this point, the officer called me a liar. I said, sir, I'm not comfortable with you because you know my ex-husband. I want a supervisor. My cordless phone was right there where I was on my deck. I got my cordless phone and I pressed 9 and I attempted to dial for a supervisor. He came around, handcuffed me so quickly, I couldn't even tell you how he put the cuffs on me.
Listen, Miss Bosworth, why didn't you sue the police department?
My attorney told me to wait until the matter was over, and in June of this year, 06, it was over. I did file charges.
And the case was dismissed?
Yes. He never showed up in court, Your Honor.
Good thing. But is your attorney filing a lawsuit against the police department?
We are in the process.
That's exactly what you should do.
Yes.
Him too. Him too. Outrageous conduct, sir. Outrageous abuse of your power. Let me see the police report.
If you look at the police report, it was not my actions that caused her to get arrested.
Oh, listen to me, sir. Listen to me, sir. I know
Honor.
exactly what happened, sir. I want to see what the police officer wrote down in this police report. Not necessarily that I believe it.
All lies.
I just want to read it. Outrageous. Your conduct is outrageous, Mr. Bosworth. I'm amazed that you're a peace officer.
Mm-hmm.
Officers were dispatched to assist a subject in retrieving his cell phone.
And they know him.
Shh. Where is your daughter now, Miss Bosworth?
She's in college in Georgia.
Is this her first year in college?
Yes, ma'am.
Graduated from high school with reasonable grades?
3.2.
And she got the 3.2 living in your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Not living with her father?
No, ma'am.
I'm speaking. Not living with her father?
Never.
Who filled out her applications with her?
I did.
Not her father?
No.
Father gives her cell phones?
Oh, yeah.
The fact that your former husband exercised the poorest of judgment does not make your case actionable against him. The fact that he abused his power as a police officer, despite the fact that he had been a laid-off police officer, calling the police. And you lied to me, by the way, when you said you didn't know these officers. The police officer said that he knows you. Abused his power. That's also not actionable. He has the right to come over to your house. He also has the right to call the police. They have the right to hang up on him and say, go to civil court, as in their protocol for most things that have to do with property. They chose not to do that in this case. And in my view, that is actionable on your part, civilly, against the police department, not necessarily against him.
He instructed the officer to arrest me if I didn't give the cell phone. If I gave the cell phone, I would never got arrested.
I never instructed any police officer
They
to
told
take
me down
action.
at the police station.
Your Honor.
Just a second, sir. You know, officer.
No, I do not, personally.
Well, he says
They were partners.
the above, a male known to the officer.
All officers know each other's names, especially laid-off officers at that time.
Well, sir, what I'm saying to you is,
He knew I
very
was a police
easy,
officer, yes.
Very, very easy for you to resolve that, sir. You could have brought officer with you as a witness.
I tried to get both officers to come as a witness, and they both told me they didn't want anything to do with this woman.
I wouldn't either, because I got to tell you something.
As well as the witnesses that were there, her neighbors, they didn't want anything to do with this. They wrote statements. They showed me pictures of her past incidences.
Your Honor.
Shh. Listen to me, sir.
May I ask?
Miss Bosworth, I want to tell you something.
Yes.
He did the wrong thing. I think that in 1,000 years, he never expected to come here today and be dressed down. Never expected to be dressed down, because nobody has told him he was wrong, except you. And he doesn't believe you because he thinks you're nutty. I'm prepared to tell him that he's wrong, that he did absolutely 100% the wrong thing that day in July.
Thank you. May I add something, Your Honor?
No, it's not necessary.
It's important.
Okay.
My attorney tried to subpoena the 911 call. There was never a 911 call. He called officer on his personal cell phone. He knows he has the section of my city. My attorney...
Just a second. Eventually, if this matter proceeds to a civil lawsuit against the city, which I assume it will, and I assume it should, they can't doctor 911 calls dating back to July.
Your Honor.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Was there a 911 call?
No, there was not. I called the police non-emergency line to ask for an assist to prevent a breach of the peace. Therefore, they determined which officer would show up.
Just a second. You called a non-emergency number that takes you right into the police station.
The dispatch
That
center,
takes you right into the police station.
Yes.
I got it.
Not directly.
I got it. No, I got it. I got it. Where is that number published?
In the yellow pages. Yellow pages of the phone book.
Not a 911 number, though.
No, ma'am.
No. So that peace officers know how to get in touch with that number, right?
Every citizen should know that.
No, I don't. We have a large audience here. I want you to raise your hands, please, if any of you know the non-emergency number to get to your local police precinct in order to have a car dispatched. Raise your hand. Look at this.
Ma'am, it's in the phone.
Look, I don't care if it's in the phone book. You just said to me every citizen should know the number.
They should.
Look at these. These are intelligent people. I don't know the number, and you're not going to find anybody more intelligent than me when it comes to law enforcement, Mr. Bosworth.
I believe you, Your Honor.
The case against him is dismissed. But I wish that I were the judge presiding over the case against the police department where
What
you
about the
live.
mental anguish I suffered according
Listen, you picked him. You picked him. But your lawsuit is a valid one. He exercised poor judgment that day. Poor judgment is not compensated in this way. But the police department have a duty to act responsibly. They have a duty, and they acted not only irresponsibly, but there is no question that they responded to that location because of who he was, and they did absolutely the wrong thing. It was a non-violent situation when they were asked to come to help retrieve a cell phone, and I absolutely believe you when you say that the police officer came back and said to you, now I want the cell phone. That, sir, is a civil matter. Clear? Goodbye.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is case number 259 on the calendar in the matter of Nunes versus Sorensen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Thank you, Bird. All right, let's get some background information here, folks. What date did this incident happen with your cars?
June 30th of this year, 2006.
What time?
Approximately 2 o'clock.
You were driving? Mm-hmm. Who was in the car with you?
I was alone.
You were driving?
And I was alone, too.
Where were you going?
I was going to the last day at my job, and I'm a chef and caterer, and I was coming to pick up the pots and pans I had in my kitchen.
And where is the kitchen?
There's a door to the kitchen that is right along the street that I was trying to find a parking place right in front of the door.
Okay. And what about you, Mr. Sorensen? Where were you going?
I was going into a paint shop that was right in front of where I parked.
Now, what I gather and what I've been able to put together and what I know from common sense and from driving a car for a long time is that a parking space became available. The car pulled out of the spot, and you followed that car into the spot with the nose of your car. Is that what happened, Mr. Sorensen?
Not totally, Your Honor.
That's totally what happened, Mr. Sorensen. Okay. You did not parallel park. Car pulled out, leaving a spot, and you pulled in.
There was a car parked in front of the spot, if you look at the map. I could not fit into it by nosing in totally.
That's the way you started into the spot.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Now, Miss Nunez says she was waiting for a spot on the same street. She saw this car getting out, but in order to accommodate the car so the car didn't have to struggle, she pulled up a couple of car lengths to wait for the car to pull out so that she could parallel park by pulling back, which is the way one parallel parks. The car pulled out, and according to Miss Nunez, you pulled into the spot, and the fight was on. So far, is that pretty accurate, Ms. Nunez?
Yes.
And there's no question in my mind, Mr. Sorensen, that is precisely what happened. You want to know why I know it's precisely what happened, Mr. Sorensen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you say in your answer that you noticed a red BMW. Is that what you drive? Mm-hmm. Double parked a couple of car lengths away. Well, there would be no reason for Miss Nunez to double park because she had business there. She wasn't waiting for somebody to come out of the store. She hadn't dropped somebody off and was waiting for them to give her something. She had to park her car in order to go into a place to retrieve items. So I know that she was waiting for a spot. And we know that people parallel park, which is she couldn't have pulled back behind this spot. She let the person who was pulling out, spot that she saw first, get out of the spot. You, Mr. Sorensen, were being a wise guy. And if you weren't being a wise guy, then when she came back and she said, you know, that's my spot, you should have said, oh, well, I'm sorry. I thought you were double parked. I'll get out. Which is not what you did, smart Alec. That is not what you did.
There were several double parked cars on that block.
Her car was not double parked, sir. She was waiting for the spot. And you acknowledge that in your answer that she was double parked 2 car lengths ahead. So when she pulled back and she said to you, that's my spot, I've been waiting for it, what did you say to her?
Well, that's not how it happened, Your Honor. I was fully parked and my motor was off. While getting out of my car, she backed into me. There were several double parked cars on that block because there was a mosque on the opposite side of the street that was coming out.
Sir, you told me that you saw a car double parked in front. That's what you told me in your answer.
Yes, I
Now,
did.
you're not lying there, are you?
No, I'm not
You didn't
lying.
say there were a lot of other cars double parked. I'm telling you her car was not double parked. Her car was waiting for the spot because she had seen the spot, and you could have, Mr. Sorensen, waited for the spot to become vacant, pull up, and then properly parallel park. You chose not to do that, sir. I read your answer. You chose to spray your turf first, which was put your nose in the
That's
spot.
not true, Your Honor.
And then later you deal with it.
That's not true, Your Honor.
No. You know, common sense goes a long way, Mr. Sorensen. So then a road rage incident transpired. Now, Ms. Nunez, now that I got the lay of the land, I would like you to tell me what happened.
Like I said, I was parked next to his truck. He was right here, and I rolled down the windows on my car, and I told him, "You just stole the parking."
Tell me. No,
okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
I want you to tell me exactly what you said to him.
I said, "You just stole a parking space I really need."
And what did he say to you?
What are you going to do about it? And I did call him an asshole, and he looked at me. Yes, and then he looked at me, paused, took the door of his truck, and with all his body weight and all his might, slammed it as hard as he could against my car. I got out of my car to see that if he had damaged it, and also to get his license plate number. When I did that, he bound out his passenger door, came around his truck, and took his body with his stomach and pinned me against the back of my car.
Not true, Your Honor.
It is very true.
Not true.
To the point where my elbows were on my trunk as he was screaming at me, "What are you going to do about it?"
Because at this point, you were blocking his car.
Well, yes.
Go.
So he's pinning me against the car. I told him there's like witnesses everywhere. He said, "Watch, nobody's going to help you. I can do whatever I want to you, and nothing's going to happen to me."
Don't make things up as you're going
No,
along,
I'm
Ms.
not.
Nunez.
That's exactly what he said to me.
You have pictures of the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Who are these people? Were either of them here?
My sister is here for moral support, but I also have Officer Chan that responded to, I waved him down to respond to the scene.
Officer Chan, would you step forward, please? You're a police officer in San Francisco?
Yes, working in the San Francisco Patrol Special Police Division.
What do you know about this incident on the 30th of June?
I found two people, this female driving a red BMW and this gentleman driving a black Ford pickup.
Did Mr. Sorensen at any time disclaim responsibility for the damage to her car?
Yes, he did.
What did he say, if you remember?
He said, "Well, I didn't do it." And he said, check the paint.
And did you?
Yes, I did. I saw a white paint that is in his door.
In his door?
Correct.
And on her door?
Scratches, yeah.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Sorensen, now I'm going to hear you, sir. Go.
I have an estimate for her car that shows damage from the rear bumper all the way up to the rear mirror, which would go and coincide of what happened at the impact happened while she was backing up.
Sure. Okay. I'd like to see it, please.
I marked it on the tab. The whole side, which explains my statement on how I had to scramble back into my car while she was backing up.
Your Honor, I have an estimate that says that there's only one single dent in my car.
Oh, may I see it, please?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's no question in my mind, Mr. Sorensen, that you pulled your nose into that space as so many other piggish people have done.
And later today...
Do you really think that they keep me here because I'm young and gorgeous?
No,
Mr. Grady, that was the wrong answer, Mr. Grady.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tanya Nunes claims fellow motorist Jeff Sorensen owes for intentionally damaging her car during an incident of road rage.
Now, most people who behave civilly, Mr. Sorensen, will wait their turn for things, wait their turn to get a parking space, understand exactly the frustration that somebody feels when they've been sitting and waiting for a parking space for a long time, and somebody who has very poor manners comes up and says, "Here I see an opportunity, and I'm going to take it, and there's nothing you can do about it."
It's not the way it was, Your Honor.
That's exactly the way it was, Mr. Sorensen. There is no question in my mind that this lady did not pick a fight with you. There's no question in my mind that she did not start up with you. There is no question in my mind that she had given the car an opportunity to exit that parking space civilly and parallel park as she was taught to do.
And
there's no question in my mind, Mr. Sorensen, that you pulled your nose into that space as so many other piggish people have done and said, It's my spot now. You have a problem, Mr. Sorensen. Your problem is you behaved badly that day, and you're not willing to accept responsibility for it. And I have a feeling it's not the first time that you behaved badly. And I think she said to you exactly what she said to you, which was, you took my parking space that I really need, and the response that you gave her was exactly the response that she testified to.
Not true, Your
You're
Honor.
out of order, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
All these are excused. You may step out.
She got fired that day, and she was collecting her stuff at the end of work, and I think she was frustrated.
Actually, I quit my job, so it has absolutely no validity in this case.
I went off on her. There was road rage, and I apologized to her for that.
I feel very sorry for the defendant, and I think he'd be a lot happier if he got anger management.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Augusto versus Grady. Step forward.
21-year-old Tiffany Augusto is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Robert Grady, for vet bills incurred after two of his dogs had a fight.
Miss Augusto, Mr. Grady was your boyfriend. He's got a lot of dogs. His dogs fight. And according to your complaint, you extended a loan to him in order to pay for one of the dogs when the dog was injured. You want him to repay this bill.
Yes.
Mr. Grady says that it was not a loan, it was a gift. You wanted to do it for him. He was perfectly prepared when the dog was injured to have the dog killed, right?
Yeah, I was gonna have it put down.
Put down is a nice word. Killed is the word.
Well, yeah,
you mean
I was
killed,
gonna have the
right?
dog killed, yeah.
You mean killed. Your choice was to either take care of the dog and have this animal that was your pet, right?
Yes, correct.
Fixed by a doctor. And you would have chosen, because of the cost, to kill it.
Yes.
Okay. You are clearly an animal lover, sir.
Yeah. I have
How many do you have?
Well, right now I have 4 dogs.
How many did you have when you were together?
5.
Tell me what kind of dogs you have.
Pit bulls, and the one that was hurt is a Rottweiler German Shepherd mix.
Do the pit bulls all come from the same litter?
No, they didn't. The pit bulls I acquired from different people. The pit bull that did the attacking was a pit bull I saved off the street. I found him walking down the street. He was almost dead, bleeding. Took him in, took care of him. He got along with the rest of the dogs. One day I got a call that the dogs got into a fight, and I went home, checked on it. The dog was pretty injured bad. We took him to the vet.
Which dog? Which one?
The Rottweiler.
How old was the Rottweiler?
About 4 at the time.
You don't do anything bad with these dogs, like have them fight, do you? They're
No.
just your pets.
Yeah, they're family pets.
Family pets. And you care for them?
Yes.
Then why, sir, when one of your members of your family was injured, why would you even contemplate killing it?
Well, I had no money to save its life. So it was the only other road. I can't go home with the dog with its jaw half ripped off.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mr. Grady. Were you working?
No.
How were you supporting yourself?
I was living at home at the time.
Living at home with whom?
With my mother.
How old are you?
23.
How did you support yourself? How does he support himself? How does he support himself?
His mother.
What else?
At that time, it was me.
While you were together, was Mr. Grady ever arrested for any illegal activity?
Yes.
For what? Look at me.
I was never really told why. He would lie to me most of the time.
Right.
What were you arrested for, Mr. Grady?
I was arrested. I had a drug possession charge.
Right. Pit bulls and drug possession charge. Mr. Grady, do you really think that they keep me here because I'm young and gorgeous?
No,
Mr.
ma'am.
Grady, that was the wrong answer, Mr. Grady. You see, either way, you're in trouble. No, ma'am, would be the wrong answer. Yes, ma'am, would be also the wrong answer.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That was never spoken to me, that option.
I'm going to get to it.
That's always been her problem. She don't know when to shut up.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tiffany Augusto claims ex-boyfriend Robert Grady owes for vet bills after two of his dogs had a vicious fight.
Okay. What are you working at now, Mr. Grady?
Nowhere.
You're not working now either?
No.
So it's been a long time for you not to be working, Mr. Grady.
Yep.
How many times have you been arrested for drug possession, Mr. Grady?
Twice.
What's the status of those cases, sir?
Oh, they're all done now. Got the fines paid and let go. They're minor misdemeanors.
Who paid your fines?
Well, I paid the fines.
From what?
I do a little work on the side here and there with a couple buddies.
Well, that's what I want to know, Mr. Grady.
All right.
What do you do on the side, sir?
Well, my friend has a delivery company that he subcontracts.
What does he deliver?
Electronics from like a Best Buy store. I'd come in there a couple days out of the week, and he would pay me. So that's how I got my fines paid.
You think I should believe him?
The drug possession charges has nothing to do with the dog case.
Yes, it does. It has something to do with the dog case for me, sir. Because if you have money, any money, if you can collect cans, if you can babysit, if you can do anything at age 23, I wouldn't put down and kill a member of my family.
Your Honor, may I speak?
Yes.
Sorry. At that time, that was never spoken to me, that option. We never...
I'm going to get to it.
Okay.
That's always been her problem. She don't know when to shut up.
Neither do I.
Well, neither do I. That's kind of why we conflicted so much.
Listen, I don't care about your conflicting with each other. You want to discuss your conflicting? You take it to Dr. Phil. Here we're going to talk about whether or not you had an option when you went to the vet with your Rottweiler that one of your pit bulls attacked, or more than one of your pit bulls attacked, whether you had an option of saying kill it or heal it, whether you exercised that option, she says you did not, and whether the right thing for you to do would be say, listen, instead of working 2 days a week for my friend who's in the delivery service business, I'll work 5 days a week to take care of my responsibility. You get me?
Yeah, I get you.
How much was the bill?
The total on the account is $1,896.57 because we had to take the other dog in also.
Which other dog?
The other dog that was in the fight.
So there were 2 dogs?
Yes, there was 2 dogs that fought. The Rottweiler attacked the pit bull. Usually, they never attacked each other. They always got along. After that, they had to be separated at all times.
By the way, Mr. Grady, you had 5 dogs at the time you and Miss Augusta were together. You say you had 4. Who's gone?
The pit bull that did the attacking.
And where is that dog now?
He was killed.
When?
About 2 months ago.
Why?
He wasn't getting along with none of my dogs. I couldn't restrain him from getting to the other dogs. I mean, he would basically break down doors to get to the dogs. I had no other option.
He was vicious.
Yes, he started becoming a threat to my family. This wasn't the one that you rescued
off the street?
Yes.
This is the one you rescued off the street?
Yes.
Now, did he pay anything towards this bill?
No.
After you broke up, which was when?
January of '06.
Did you ask him about this bill?
I asked him before that.
And what did he tell you?
I always got promises of payment next week, this weekend. I'm starting to work. I'll give you money steadily soon.
And?
I never got anything.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Go.
She never asked me for no money the whole time we was together. We break up. It was probably about 2 months ago. I started getting phone calls. My mom started getting phone calls. She needs the bills paid. There was never no promise in the beginning to pay nothing back. She loved the dog as much as I did, so she didn't want to see the dog put down as much as I didn't want to see the dog put down. Well, killed.
How many children does your mother have?
I'm one of 7.
Is your mother a working lady?
No.
How did she support 7 children?
Well, she's a widow. She gets checks from my father passing away, Social Security, stuff like that.
So that
checks.
must have been tough raising 7 children on Social Security and survivor's benefits.
Yes.
Say that's right?
Yes.
Are you in the middle, the beginning, or the end? Are you the youngest, oldest, or in the middle?
The oldest.
And how old is the youngest?
11.
How would you feel about your mother if she said, you know, all the children need things. I really don't have enough to take care of the youngest one?
Well, I'll do what I gotta do.
Which is what?
Anything that needs to be done.
The youngest one is 11-year-old boy or girl?
Girl.
Girl, you wouldn't suggest we put her down, would you?
No.
You would do anything that was necessary to make sure that she got what she needed.
Yeah.
Yes is the answer.
Yes.
Because that's the responsible thing to do.
Yes.
You don't take a living creature into your home, whether it's a human being or a dog, love it and give it attention, and then say, well, it's too much trouble for me. You know, I don't have enough to go around. This one's expendable.
Well,
you don't do that. What you may have done is responsible with regard to the pit bull, because if the pit bull was an aggressive, hostile dog that had bitten and attacked other dogs, clearly could do that to a person if this dog hadn't done that already. Perhaps under that extreme circumstance, you have to contemplate that. But with regard to an animal that was attacked by a dog that you brought into the house, you do whatever is necessary to make sure that that dog is taken care of. Period. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $18.96. That's all. Step out.
Of Haywood versus Wigner. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Haywood, you live in a condominium complex.
Yes.
The defendant lives there as well. She is head of the Homeowners Association.
No, that's not correct.
What are you in charge of?
I'm not now, but during the incident, I was the property manager.
Okay, but you also live there.
Yes.
And it is your claim that the defendant instigated an assault for which you were arrested. You want to be reimbursed for all of your medical bills, for your lost wages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The defendant says that you were actually the aggressor in this assault, and she is counterclaiming. Now, the problem that developed between the two of you had to do with trash.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a trial with regard to this assault. You were the complainant.
Yes.
And that case was dismissed.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, tell me what happened.
Okay, I was in my living room playing Nintendo with my son and my nieces, and all of a sudden I just heard a bang, and I looked, and it was trash on my door. And basically, I knew it was Marianne because a week before she had told me, you know how they deliver the city trash cans?
No, I don't know how they deliver city trash cans.
Well, they deliver the city everybody has them now, the city trash dumpsters. Well, they had delivered them, and I used my trash can, so she put a note on my door saying...
She told you, don't use the trash cans, use the dumpster.
Yes, ma'am.
And you put your trash in the trash can.
Yes.
So that you heard a thud outside, and you saw your trash where?
On my front porch against my door.
Okay. Did you see who put it there?
Well, actually, I saw her walking away. I didn't see her put it there. I saw her walking away from there, the only person.
So you assumed it was her. So what did you do?
Well, I went to the door to see who put it there. I saw her walking up, and so I went. I put on shoes. I wasn't dressed. I had on a gown. So I went and threw on some sweatpants and a shirt, and actually I went out, put it back on her porch.
And how far is her porch from your porch?
It's probably like 8 feet. I stood at the stairs, and I kind of tossed it back on her porch.
So you didn't go up on her porch. You took the trash, and you threw it on her porch.
I tossed it, yeah, just like she did mine. But she wasn't in there.
You didn't see her throw the trash on your
Well, she admits it.
Shh. I want you to try answering my questions.
Okay.
You didn't see her put the trash on your porch.
No, I did not.
You came out, saw the trash on your porch, and flung it on her porch.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened next?
So then I went back into my house, and it came flying back against my door again.
You didn't see who it was?
No, I saw it was her.
And what did you do next?
Basically,
now you got your garbage on your porch.
It was tit for tat. I mean, in actuality.
I asked you what you did next.
I went and I threw it back on hers again.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a second. And what happened next?
She came out and pepper sprayed me, and the gardener was a witness to that.
So she came out, and she sprayed you in the face.
Yes.
What happened next?
So then when she sprayed me, it's like it got into, because I actually was turning, when she opened her door, I was turning to go back to my apartment. So when I turned to go back to my apartment, when it got in my eye, when I turned back around, when I heard her door open, I turned around, and so it got me right here in this eye. So in actuality, I held my eye, and I went to grab her can from her because she was walking towards me spraying. So I went to grab the can of pepper spray from her, and then we struggled over it. Like, trying to get it away from each other because I was going to spray her back, to be honest with you, because she sprayed me.
Okay, go ahead.
So then as we struggled over it, she hit me because it wasn't getting loose. I hit her, and we hit each other, and we struggled over this can. And basically with one hand on the can and one hand, like, striking each other.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just not going to get to you in a minute. Go ahead.
Then we ended up over a fence where Mr. had came down, and he grabbed me from behind and choked me and dragged me back. And at that time, Marianne came with a rake, and I grabbed, and while he's choking me, and I'm on the ground. He's a director of the condominium, one of the directors. He owns the apartment or condo above Marianne.
So he saw the scuffle, evidently, and went out and restrained you, and she went and got a rake. Is that what you just said?
Well, he didn't see it. Well, he was upstairs, and then he came down. And so, yes, and then she grabbed a rake from the gardener.
Yes.
And came at me with it, and it's like, as I'm trying to pry his hands away from me, I'm on my knees. I reached up, when she came at me, I saw through my peripheral vision a person approaching me, so I just reached up at the time she came at me with it, and I grabbed it from her.
And?
Then I tried to get Mr. off because, I'm asthmatic and I couldn't breathe, so I'm trying to get him off of me. Then he starts letting go of me as I'm standing up, catching my breath, because it took a few seconds before I could catch my breath. He, like, I guess to grab the rake from me, he stepped towards me, and I hit him with the rake. I swung the rake. It hit him in his head, and I dropped the rake, and I walked into my house, and I called 911.
You were, in fact, convicted of assaulting Mr.
I was found guilty.
You were found guilty. You were convicted.
Yes.
Of assaulting Mr.
With a lesser battery, yes.
But acquitted after a trial with regard to the defendant.
Yeah, they dropped charges against me for her.
All right, so now you tell me your version of what happened.
Could I go back a little bit deeper than that?
To when?
October of 1999?
No. Stay with this. If there was bad blood between the two of you, that's not relevant.
It kind of sets the scene, but anyway, 14 cans were delivered in the parking lot along the edge of the back into the parking lot real close to one of the units. The only reason they were delivered there was because we were going to do an enclosure out where the dumpster is on the street and then move the 14 cans out there. So it was like a temporary layover. So I delivered a notice to all units and let them know that until further notice, please use the dumpster. So a few days later, there's 2 cans that are full of trash. Well, actually, one was full of trash. It was unit number 9. It had the numbers on each one of the cans.
What unit are you in?
That's not true.
Just answer my question.
I'm unit number 9.
You're number 9?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
And I delivered a notice to both unit number 9 and 11 and reiterated the fact that we have a dumpster and you don't use the trash cans. And please take the trash out of there and put it in the dumpster. Number 11 came to me and she said, I'm so sorry. She said, I debated whether I should do that or not. And the next thing I know, I get this back on my door. They shouldn't be there then. You empty them yourself and kiss my crazy, which was typical of the conversations I would have with Paula over parking issues.
Just a second. Shh. Why did you write her this nasty note?
Well, I didn't. In actuality,
why did you write her this nasty note?
I did not write that exact what it says. I mean, and basically that is copied on there. I mean, because I saw that when I went to trial. I did say that they shouldn't be there, but I did not say the B word. I mean, I didn't call her in actuality.
No, you wrote this down.
No, I wrote that you're crazy. The crazy. Part, but I did not write.
Yeah, you wrote a nasty note.
Oh no,
you were crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
you
I
wrote
did
crazy. Told it empty.
Did you know why?
I'm speaking.
Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paula Haywood says neighbor Marianne Wigner pepper sprayed her during an argument over garbage cans. Marianne claims Paula instigated the fight.
Can I ask you a question? Put it down.
Okay.
What's the difference if the condominium where you're living says, please don't use the trash cans, please use the dumpster? What's the skin off your nose in taking your trash and putting it in the dumpster?
Okay, I have pictures. It was in evidence, but basically, and she gave me a note. She has a note that says, you know, the dumpsters are overloaded. We're going to be getting a lock or something because we think other people are using our dumpsters. And, you know, don't put your trash on the ground outside of the dumpster.
So, madam,
so there was
talking
nowhere
about
else.
being civilized. So if you get this note and if the dumpster is full, why don't you say, listen, I got the note and I'd be more than happy to comply, but they're full, so I have to use the cans.
She had never gave me that. I do my job. I was working from 8 to 8, doing caregiving for a handicapped child. And I lost my job, making $100 a night, but I never received that letter. She put that on my door, actually, when she threw the trash back the second time. That was attached to the trash can.
I don't know if I believe you. I think that you copped an attitude. That doesn't mean you're entitled to get sprayed with pepper spray. I'm not there yet, but I believe you copped an attitude. Now, you find the trash on your door. Who threw the trash on her porch?
Bob actually put the bag on her porch and said, please take this trash out to the dumpster where it belongs.
Why would Mr. take the trash and put it on her porch? I mean, that's sort of an aggressive act to take it and toss it on her porch.
I didn't expect him to do that. What happened was that there were previous confrontations with Paula Haywood over parking incidents, and I was attacked by her in my home. She came in my home, she tore the phone off my wall, she jabbed at me, and she socked me in the eye. And then her mother, before the police came out, her mother did the same thing. She walked right in my home. I'm getting ready to pack.
So why, those are the things you want to talk about from before.
Yeah, right. So,
so you're not happy with these people as tenants.
Right, and I've had other...
Now, after she took the trash and tossed it on your porch.
Yes.
What did you do?
I didn't throw it. I put it down in front of her door, and then I walked away.
Go ahead. What happened next?
Then I was with the maintenance man in front of my unit, and I was helping him pick up some weeds and some trash and things. The next thing I know, I felt something behind me. I had previous to that, picked up some pepper spray because of my previous incidents with her. And so I had the pepper spray in my hand. I heard something, and I turned around, and she has this bag that I had already inspected. In fact, here's the pictures. It has that it was her bag. There were 3 jugs of glass in there. So when I saw her hurling it, and it was about ready to come down on me, I pushed the spray. I didn't really know how to use the pepper spray, but I sprayed it. It hit her in the chin. I did see that. It didn't hit her in the eye. It hit her in the chin. The next thing I know, all hell broke loose, and she grabbed a hold of me in the back of my hair. She threw me over the 3-foot iron railing, and she took that can out of my hand, and she beat me. I've got pictures here of what she did to me. I've got bruises on my ribs, my eyes, and my forehead.
Your Honor.
Just a minute. You told your story.
Please get a chance.
Did you see these photographs?
And yes, I did.
Just answer my question.
Yes, I did.
You have seen these. These are pretty serious.
Yes, I saw them.
These are pretty serious.
Okay, can I please say something, Your Honor?
Just a second.
Okay.
I'm speaking. What were you doing yard work, holding pepper spray?
Because of some previous incidents with...
You mean you walk around all the time with pepper spray?
I do now, since she came in my home.
You
and
walk
attacked
around
me.
all the time carrying pepper spray?
Not all the time. Just if I'm outside doing some work and the parking situation, especially on the weekend, gets pretty bad. And she's not the only one that retaliates. There's 4 of them, and I'm by myself. And these 4 people lash out quite a bit. No one has ever attacked me, though, except for Paula and her mother.
Do you have any photographs of your injuries?
No, let me tell you this. First of all, I'm dark-skinned. I did admit I hit her, and no, I did not bruise. She said she hit me. We fought. Yes,
I didn't say. I just asked you.
Oh no, I don't, because you know why I don't bruise.
The answer is
no. I mean, I don't.
You don't have.
I do have a medical record.
Then I'd like to see it. I'd like to see your medical record.
Okay. And then,
All right, so you went and took x-rays, and the x-rays were normal. Is that right?
It says it was a reversal of and that means it was, I had a sprain. And I wore a hard neck brace for 7 days, and then I had to go back, and I wore a soft one for 7 days.
Now, Miss Haywood, when you saw the trash that she had put back on your porch, and you see her walking
I saw her throw it. I mean, I was out the window.
Just answer my question.
Okay,
You're
yes.
not going to think faster than I am. I guarantee it, madam. You started this whole problem because you didn't follow the rules.
Her rules?
I'm making that judgment. There were 14 units, and you have the problem. That doesn't mean that you are responsible for your getting sprayed in the face, but I have to find out, when you saw the trash that she admits she put back on your porch, pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Did you walk down the steps with the trash?
No, it's up the steps. I went up the steps.
You had to walk up?
No, it's like 3 steps. I mean, they're not...
A step is a step. Do you have to walk down the steps to get to where she was, or did you have to walk up the steps to get to where she was?
Both.
I have 3 steps down, then 3 steps up.
Okay.
And then her door is like 6 feet or 6 feet from the step I threw the bag from while she was inside.
Where was she when you tossed it?
She was inside her house because she came out, the door flew open, I turned around, she sprayed me.
Now, you were doing work with the gardener.
Yes.
You were working with him outside.
Yes.
Don't you think he would have been a good witness here?
Yes. He was let go because of his slowness and independent. He wasn't dependable.
Did he testify at the criminal trial?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
He did?
He testified, and I have all the tapes.
Can you see if you can find that on the tape?
¿Qué pasó? Cuando yo miré, Marian salió de la puerta. When I saw Marian coming out of the door, diciendo cosas extrañas. They were orally saying things with one another. They were arguing. Did you see how the fight started? ¿Usted cómo empezó la pelea? No, porque cuando ellas estaban... Cuando Marian salió de la puerta, ella también. No, because when Marian came out of the door, yo me volteé. I turned around.
The witness clearly says that he saw you, Miss Wagner, coming out the door.
I was at my door because it's right there in the same general area that the yard is.
I understand that, but he clearly said he saw you coming out the door, which means that you weren't out doing yard work. I have to believe one version or the other, and it seems much more logical to me that you saw the trash being thrown on your door, you ran and you got your pepper spray, and you came out your door, and you sprayed her with it. I say that because if you're outside doing yard work, it means you're working with both your hands. It's sort of cumbersome to walk around holding a can of pepper spray. In any event, you tell me, Miss Haywood, what you believe your damages were as a result of this unfortunate incident.
I lost my job. I've lost wages. I have a note for my job.
How did you lose your job?
Okay, at the time that I did this happen, I was making, I have it right here, I was making $100 a night.
Just a second. How did you lose your job because
because if she never would have initiated, I was not found guilty. I was found not guilty, or there was charges dropped against Mary Ann. So she was the initiator. None of this would have ever took place, ma'am.
So, just a second. Is your claim here that because you were convicted of one assault, that is with regard to Mr. and that conviction would never have taken place but for the fact that she started this altercation with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your cause of action here?
Yes, ma'am. And
sorry. You were not incarcerated because of her. You didn't lose your jobs because of her. You overreacted with regard to Mr. You hit him with a rake that they probably considered a dangerous instrument. And you were convicted with regard to that.
I mean, because of the fact this woman her actions caused all this to take place. Because I even have it where he choked me, and I have the testimony.
Let me explain something to you.
Okay, I don't know.
The money that you lost.
She did the wrong thing. She should not have come out her door and sprayed you with the pepper spray. But that doesn't mean that you can sue her because you got into an altercation and then you assaulted somebody else. So your case, Miss Haywood, is dismissed, as is your counterclaim, Miss Wagner. You sprayed her with the pepper spray. She reacted, you got injured, but you were the aggressor with the pepper spray. That's all.
Parties are in the matter of Saraceno versus Saraceno. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Saraceno, you are currently the trustee and I assume the executor of your mother's estate. Is that right?
That's correct.
And that was relatively recent circumstance because prior to that, your brother was the trustee and executor of her estate. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
When did your mother pass away?
She passed away on November 10th, 1998.
It was October 10th.
Or October 10th, I'm sorry.
When your mother passed away, one of the things of value in her estate was a house. Your claim is that the defendant, who is your niece, is living in the house, refuses to pay rent, and refuses to move out of the house.
That's correct.
You are suing her for $1,500 for rent. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
For what months, sir?
I became the trustee on January 10th, so I would want fair rent from January 10th to the present.
When did you first advise her that you wanted her to pay rent?
The beginning of February.
In January, you didn't tell her you wanted rent.
No, I did not.
He's never told me.
Did you tell her how much rent you wanted?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
How much did you tell her?
$400 a month.
And what did she say when you told her you wanted $400 a month?
She had talked to her father.
Who was your brother?
Who is my brother. She told me that he did not say that she had to pay rent and that she could live there without paying rent.
Okay. How old are you?
21.
What do you do?
I'm a telemarketer.
How much do you make a week?
$400
How long have you been a telemarketer?
for like 2 months.
What did you do before that?
I did home care for elders.
Who else lives in the house?
My aunt and my cousins.
How many cousins?
2.
Your aunt, is that your sister?
Yes.
Does she pay any rent?
No, she does not, Your Honor.
Is that with your permission?
Not expressly, but as to this point, that would be fine, yes. I don't have a problem with that.
Is there any reason why you want your niece to pay rent?
Because the house has certain bills and obligations. It has taxes that it has to pay.
Why would, I'm just curious, why would you allow your sister and her children live there rent-free and not allow your niece to live there rent-free?
Because my sister has a drug habit, okay? She doesn't have anywhere else to go. The only other alternative is to put her out in the street, and I just don't have the heart to do that at this time.
And
Shh, I'm not finished yet. Well, you may not have the heart to do that, but you can understand why your niece says, why should my cousins be allowed to live rent-free in the house, and I not be allowed to live in the house rent-free when my aunt could work just as well as I can. She's a lot older than I am. She could work. And my uncle is letting his sister and her family live there rent-free. I love my grandmother, too. Why can't I live there?
That's a very good question. I have a very good answer, Your Honor.
I'm ready for you,
The
sir.
reason is she just recently moved into that house a couple of weeks ago. Before that time, she had her own house
Who's
that she
she?
was living in.
Who's she? I
My
didn't-
sister Carmela. She had her own house that she was living in, adjacent to my mom's house, and she was living there rent-free.
Your sister was living in another house of your mother's rent-free?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sell that house?
No, it's still in the trust.
Well, is there another tenant in there?
Yes, there is.
So you put a paying tenant in that house that more than covered the expenses on that house.
No, Your Honor.
Why don't you sell the other house?
There's a lot of legal fees. There are bills that have to be paid. There's a $6,600 electric bill that needs to be paid on my sister's house.
Why didn't she pay it? What are you taking that out on your niece for?
I am not complaining about that, Your Honor. I am just stating that her house cannot be sold because of that.
Because of an electric
Carmela's
bill?
house, my sister's house, yes.
It's not your sister's house. You said it's part of the trust.
None of them have been divided yet. She will get a share of that property.
Are the grandchildren mentioned as beneficiaries of the trust?
Teresa and Saraceno.
But two grandchildren, but not the defendant.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to take a look at your papers as trustee. of
Okay.
property.
There you go.
Okay. Now, Ms. Saraceno, I have just a few questions for you. Do you work as a telemarketer every day?
Yes.
What are your work hours?
9 to 5.
And you work Monday through Friday?
Yes.
What time do you usually get up to go to work?
At 7 o'clock.
And you report directly to work?
Yes.
What do you do after work?
I come home and I make sure my cousin does his homework, and I make sure that his clothes are clean for the next day, and then I cook dinner.
You do that 5 days a week?
Yep. Yes.
The reason I ask these questions, which seem rather odd, even to Bird, right?
Yes.
Under the circumstances, is that this is your claim. You claim in your answer that your grandmother's will states that any member of the family, the Saraceno family, who continually puts flowers on her gravesite every Thursday may reside in the residence after her passing rent-free. That's what you say. And that is the basis of your defense.
Yes, but
Okay?
I have
So
this
let
as-
me see that clause in the will.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Saraceno says his niece, Bettina Saraceno, owes for unpaid rent. Bettina says the house belonged to her late grandmother, and it was her wish that she live there, rent-free.
This doesn't talk about you. You're not Teresa, you're Bettina.
But also right here, I have the,
This talks about two other grandchildren.
Yes, I know.
Not you.
This one I have right here, where it's highlighted.
Well, this doesn't say anything about placing flowers on your grandmother's grave every Thursday
The
night.
other, I know.
Doesn't say anything about that. All right, so that's not a defense. And this section that you're talking to me about says that the trustee has the right to sell the property, let somebody else live there, rent it. So it's within your uncle's discretion whether or not you can live there. You understand that?
Yes.
So there is no defense to this action. You have to either pay rent or he told you to move, which is
He's-
very unfortunate. I mean, which is really very unfortunate, because I really think that you're being unfair and inequitable unless there was some reason you would think that your mother would not want this grandchild to have any benefit from her property. Is there any reason?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is that?
The defendant has a drug habit.
So does your sister.
They both do, yes. And to be honest with you, I would want both of them out, but she doesn't pay rent. She doesn't do nothing. I told her to leave, and she would not do it, Your Honor.
You
I
didn't
asked
answer
her
my...
to
Just a
leave,
second. You didn't
and she
answer my question, sir. I'm asking you a question. I expect just a second. I'm not going to need this witness. She can step outside. If she needs water, go. Madam, do you need water? Do you need water?
No.
Go outside. Go outside. Don't cough here. Go.
Your Honor, ask the question again. I will answer it.
Maybe you'll understand it better if I ask it to you this way. Did your mother have a relationship with the defendant?
No.
You didn't see her?
Very rarely.
Yes, she did.
How rarely is very rarely?
Maybe once every 3 months.
And what about your sister's children? They lived right next door.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did your mother ever give you any indication that she was aware of your sister's drug habit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Excuse me, Your Honor, I lived right across the street.
Listen, there is no question in my mind that your uncle is being unreasonable. He would not be unreasonable were he not to have permitted his sister, who he says is a drug addict, and her 2 children to live in the home rent-free. But he is the trustee of this estate. It is his prerogative to tell you to move. That's his prerogative. I don't believe that you had an arrangement with her for rent. You didn't even become trustee until January 10th. And you did not tell her until February that you wanted her to pay rent. Is that right? And there was never an agreement to pay rent by her with you.
Correct.
He didn't tell me he wanted...
Listen, you're not losing, right? So there was never an agreement for her to pay rent. So what you have to do, Mr. Saraceno, is proceed with eviction proceedings against your niece, if that's what you wish to do, because absent a lease, either an oral lease, which you can have month to month, or a written lease, there is no contract, and therefore there is no contract that this court can enforce. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We just have friends come over, that's it.
It's like one big crack house, you know?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Romanchek, Humphreys versus Romanchek. Step forward.
53-year-old homemaker Mary Romanchek and her fiancé, Stephen Humphreys, are suing Mary's son, 18-year-old student Jason Romanchek, for a car loan, a computer, and emotional distress. Jason says the car was a birthday present.
According to your complaint, the defendant, your son, took a car that was yours when he left your home, and in addition, he ruined a computer, and he gave you a lot of aggravation, so you want to be compensated for that.
Yes, Your Honor.
All to the tune of $5,000. So tell me first about the car, which your son says was a gift to him.
Okay, Your Honor, I have a receipt about the car is mine.
Well, that's a conclusion.
Okay.
When was the car purchased?
It was purchased a long time ago. Jason stole the pink slip, and he stole the...
When was the car purchased? Do you know?
Around March 29th or so.
Of this year?
Yeah.
Now, the title to the car is in your name and your son's name. How much did you pay for the car?
$2,500 something, $3,000.
Ms. Romanchek?
Yes.
Your lawsuit involves a car. Get out the receipt for the car so you can show me how much you paid for the car.
Your Honor, I cannot give you receipts for the car because Jason took it.
Then you must know how much you paid for the car. How do you expect me to decide a lawsuit?
I have a little piece of paper in my suitcase that I didn't know I was needed that. A little piece of paper in my little black suitcase.
Get it.
Where is the suitcase?
I haven't a clue. I'm not a suitcase monitor.
Thank you.
Come this way, man.
Could I see the piece of paper, please?
And here it is, the price of what was in a vehicle.
This says you paid $7,450 for the car.
You must have the wrong one.
Oh, then I must have it. But I was purchasing 2 vehicles, Your Honor. One van for me, and second car for me is that little one, that little white car.
Did you give her the wrong one?
That's the only one I have because Jason took my...
Whatever. But this is very good that you showed me this because this is very, very good. So at the time you purchased 2 cars, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You purchased a car for $7,450, and that was your car, and then you purchased another car, and then I assume you put the title to that car in your name. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, I put it on my name and my fiancé name, yes.
Fine.
Because we are going to be driving.
And the second car you purchased, you put in your name or your son's name.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you say your son subsequently left the home. When did he leave your house?
August of 15.
And he took the car with him?
And no, not right away, Your Honor. Then he came back on August of 18 and brought a tow truck with him and cut 2 clubs. And
he took the car?
And he took the car, yes.
Jason, you say this car was a birthday present for you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me about that.
They said I can use and keep the car as long as I keep good grades in school, which I have. And then the incident between her and her squirrel that she caught, I wasn't going to feed it because it was her responsibility.
To feed a squirrel?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And then she went all crazy over it. And then suddenly she just went in my room and just broke the keyboard off the computer. And then she just said that I had to leave or just do whatever she said.
So you left and you wanted to take the car?
Yes.
Who has insurance on this car?
Right now there's no insurance.
Who's driving it?
I'm driving it, but
Well, how can you drive a car that has no insurance, Jason?
I didn't want to get insurance because I don't know what the whole deal because of this court thing.
Did you change the title on the car?
We found out that we couldn't because she already changed it somehow.
You changed the title just to your name?
Yes, Your Honor. When Jason left, I went to...
Just a second.
Sure.
You went to Motor Vehicles and had the car changed to your name only?
Yes, Your Honor.
So get the police to go and get the car.
What
do you want from me? I'm not going to make an order for him to pay you for the car.
I went with the policeman. He did not give it car to us.
He said it was a civil matter.
The policeman said that.
No, it's not a civil matter. If you have the title to a car, you haven't gotten the complete title yet, because right now all that's there is a title that's in both names, right? But you went and changed that to your name.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you should get something like this, which has a title that is just in your name.
Any day.
Any day. Well,
Yes.
once you get it, go and get the car.
Yeah,
That's
Your Honor.
it.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Perfect. Now, tell me about the computer.
He got in it and took some parts. Here's the estimate what it cost for me to put my computer back together so I can use it again.
To her computer?
I took the parts that I purchased.
Which parts did you purchase?
I took RAM and the hard drive that I paid for.
From what money?
Well, my friend got it for me, but in trade I gave him a computer that I built by hand.
So you didn't pay for this part?
Not technically.
Not technically. And what other part did you take out?
The hard drive.
Isn't that an important part, Bert?
Very, very important.
I mean, I don't know anything about computers, but
That's
a
why
hard
people want
drive,
information.
sounds like a very important part.
More
What
than
made
that,
you
Your
take
Honor.
out the hard drive?
I purchased it.
How much did you pay for it?
30 or something like that.
Why did you take those things out if you knew that it would render the computer inoperable?
Because I paid for it at the time.
You were nasty. So if what you paid for was maybe $30 from all these things and you rendered your mother's computer inoperable, that was pretty nasty. Right?
I guess.
You guess, I'm telling you.
Your
Let me
Honor,
see.
I can tell you where he got the money to pay for it.
No, I don't want the computer, sir. I don't touch those
He
things.
got the money to pay for it. He took my part that he came with the computer. You ask him where he got the money? He sold it to my older son's wife for $100 to do the other thing. Then he took everything out. That's when you ask him about the money.
To put it back to the original way it was when it was new.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $990.
Certainly, certainly. He had no reason to incapacitate this computer. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You know, you just did it to be nasty. What'd you do with the 2 pieces that you took
Put
out?
them in my new computer.
Put it in
Do you have
his-
any other children?
Yes, Your Honor. I have one older one, and he turned out pretty lousy. I don't
The
know
older
why
one,
he was
too?
no good. Pardon me?
The older one, too?
Yes, Your Honor, yes.
Mrs. Romacek, the car you have to go and get as soon as you get the title. And I suggest, just to be smart, madam, that until you get the car back in your possession, you keep it insured. I would strongly suggest that to you. Do you understand?
Yes, Your
Just
Honor.
to be smart. He's your child. You want to protect your assets. I would suggest you put an insurance policy in effect on that car just to cover yourself. You're not getting any money for doing that, but you are going to get money for the pieces that he took out of your computer in the amount of...
Johanna. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Which one are you?
Mitchell.
Your first name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, that's not an appropriate way to come to court. If you ever have to go to court again, you don't come to court showing your midriff. Do you understand? It's inappropriate. That's much better. Again. Try it again. Good. Miss Morrow, you were at a friend's house. According to your complaint, these two girls took off in your car without your permission and wrecked it. You want them and their parents to be responsible for that.
Right. Okay.
And there is no question on the other side that you did not have her permission to drive the car at that time. Is that right?
I thought we did.
I didn't care what you thought. Neither one of you had permission to drive her car at that time. One of you took the keys and one of you was driving. Is that correct?
Yes.
So all you have to do, Miss Morrow, is hand me the estimate. The car's not running anymore?
No.
Okay, good. So I have the Blue Book breakdown for the car. Okay, you were at a friend's house. Your car is parked outside. Who's going to talk first?
I will.
Fine.
Okay, we were all at my house, and Nikki got mad at Brooke. Well, she wasn't really mad.
Nikki
She was
got mad
upset.
at the plaintiff.
Yes, because of boy problems.
Could you keep your voice up, please?
I'm sorry. And
पानी ने दसा दा अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह तो पिंडी का मैं दे है कुलो लाना दे रखे दे मैं रहना के मैं अल्लाह पाक शुक्र अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह जितना से शुक्र अदा कर काटे हां कल मरी रोड नंगा पे ना सदर पास जिसले मरी रोड पे ना जैसे लाना तो कुलो काली रोड है ना वो तो कुलो लाना दे रख दे मेरे पैरा के मैं ना बैठे सदर रोड पे रहता ना मैं क्या तुझे ऐसा ही तुझे दाखा मंदा लगता है समझ नहीं आता ਅਸੀਂ ਕੱਲ ਉੱਥੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਨਾ ਇਸਲਾਮਾਬਾਦ ਲਾਲ ਮਸਜਿਦ ਕੋਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਫ਼ਤਰ ਕੋਲ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਬੈਠੇ ਆਣ ਦੇ ਲਿਆ ਬਾਗ ਲਿਆ ਬਣਾ सफर चंगा लम्हा है बड़ा मजा आ रहा है हाँ अच्छा तो तुम्हें पता नहीं ना ग्रीन लाइन चल रही है वो एक्सरे तो है ना पिंडी तो अस्पताल ग्रीन लाइन चल रही है ये तो सभी ने मतलब सोचा इसको तो ये पूरे संभाल हमारी बाजी कमाल पास में नहीं कोई तब्दीली आई नहीं चाहिए असला बात हो ना असला बात चलान ना मसेरा देखो असल में कर दे बड़ा स्कूल है